I'm a new guy here. I've been here since December 12th. But I have the same vote as everybody else. I have the same say as everybody else. So I'm going to give my opinion. You know, our duty, we have one constitutional obligation and one only, and that's to pass a budget. That's it. But we have a duty of accountability to the people of the state of Nebraska. And I'm demanding that today. I'm demanding accountability for Senator Chambers and his actions. You can read the transcripts and form your own opinion, and I ask you to do that. And you'll be swayed one way or the other, as I have already been swayed, or not necessarily swayed. I've been attempted to be swayed one way or the other. But I'm demanding accountability. So my request to you, Senator Chambers, is I'm asking for your resignation, effective close of business today. Now, you can sit there and laugh all you want, because that's what you do. You make a mockery of everybody in here. You make a mockery of the Senate. You make a mockery of somebody's Christian beliefs. But I, along with Senator McCoy, am going to take a stand. So I'm asking for your resignation in writing on Senator Hadley's desk by 10 a.m. Monday morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Schnur. Senator Brosh, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And colleagues, this morning I stand dismayed, saddened, angered, confused, but I too feel that I have the transcript. It is not right to compare police to I.S.I.S. and what has happened, the horror internationally, the threat we have to our people, and also it is disrespect to those who have pledged their lives to carry out those very laws that we enact in this chamber. My question is, if not for the police, who do we have to carry out our laws for public safety? They take on that responsibility, and they do not take it on lightly. And yes, there have been situations, I believe in any occupation, any service, where a senator has done something wrong, where perhaps a police officer has done something wrong, a public official. We are human beings. We do have error. Senator McCoy has asked for an opportunity for an apology. Sometimes apologies are hard to do. Senator Schnur has stood and asked for a resignation. I'm not from Omaha. I did get a call this morning from a constituent just before I came to the floor asking me if I would ask for resignation, and I cannot do that because I know that Senator Chambers has been a great contributor to this institution. We hold hearings in the Senator Ernie Chambers room. He has made a lot of wrongs right, and we should pay tribute and respect for that, but I agree this is wrong. It is wrong to take those who are in harm's way, high risk of harm's way, and perhaps make it even a greater risk to them and their families. I was looking at an article out of Hillsdale College that talks about lawlessness and how society today tries to normalize illegal actions to the point where it is acceptable. We are at fault here. I believe that as the years, in my case, have gone by, and you hear tales told by Others here, and Senator Chambers will get very livid, very angry. He is very articulate. It's stories, words that could be in some novel, but they should not be on public record and at a public hearing. And I do not believe that he is without a heart and that his heart is so cruel as to truly wish that. I think an apology would be something that it would be difficult for him. But I think if he thought about it and what risk, what message he is
1
giving
minute.
to those in his district of actions they could take, we should all be peace officers here of some sort. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Brosh. Senator Bowles, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. We all do as we must in this body, and we all do what we think is best for our districts and reflective of the values that we bring into this building. I've been asked by my constituents to articulate my support for the public servants who do protect my community. And I am blessed and privileged to live in a community that has low violence rates and has a degree of safety. And I do appreciate the public servants who help make that happen. But I also think that this is an opportunity for us to elevate this conversation. And I think it's an opportunity for all of us to study the bills that will be coming to the floor that address violence in our communities, that increase our support for folks who are reentering society after leaving the criminal justice system, that invest in behavioral health services. Because the real issue here, colleagues, is making sure that our communities are safe and that the people who contribute to making our communities safe have the resources they need to do so. So, colleagues, I urge you to take this energy that's on the floor this morning and use it to study and understand and support the bills that will come out and make our criminal justice system as a whole better and serve our people better. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Bowles. Senator Bloomfield, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, colleagues. What a wonderful opportunity we have to pile on to Senator Chambers. What a wonderful opportunity we have to defend the right of free speech. I do not condone what Senator Chambers said. Too many people have died fighting for the right of him to be able to say it. We all have the right to say what we want. Let those among us who is without sin cast the first stone here. I don't know anybody in this body that hasn't at one time said something that didn't sound right. I'm guilty of it more than once. Senator Chambers has done a great service to this body for 40 years. Whether you like what he said or not, he has the right to say it. I don't think you'll find anybody in this body that is more defending of our military or of our police than I am. But they are there, as we are, to defend our liberties and our rights. We debated yesterday and day before about a bill that I feel would have taken away or reduced one of those rights. It just happens it was the right of free speech. We're again here now attempting to condemn a man for taking advantage of those rights. Let us not rush to judgment. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Bloomfield. Senator Lindstrom, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, colleagues. I appreciate the comments that have been stated on the floor today. In my ability of free speech, I'd just like to take a little time to address what has been said. I fully support our men and women in blue. I think that Senator Chambers' loose comparison between I.S.I.S and our police officers is misguided at best and potentially reprehensible. I signed on as a co-sponsor of LB 268 to repeal the death penalty for financial reasons and systematic inefficiencies. While I still believe this to be true, in light of recent comments by Senator Chambers and the lack of apology as called for by Senator Bo McCoy, I'm going to pull my name from the support of LB 268. I no longer want my name associated with a senator who would make such comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Lindstrom. Senator Reapy, you're recognized.
Mr. President, thank you, and members of this august body. On behalf of the citizens of District 12, which is Omaha and Ralston, I stand in both disappointment and anger for the comments of Senator Chambers. We are a state of civility and a legislative chamber of civility. We must be held accountable as a legislative body and as individual public servants. Senator Chambers, this goes beyond freedom of speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Reapy. Senator Christ, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, colleagues, and good morning, Nebraska. I'm going to be very brief because I don't know how long my voice is going to hold out. I'm embarrassed that during the hearing I didn't nudge Senator Chambers and express my disappointment. As I read the transcript, I do see that there were some offensive things said, and having been in that part of the world and seeing the reality of beheading, but fighting for 20-some years for his right to say what he's going to say, I'm conflicted, but I'm also reminded that I have given leeway to 48 others to express their free speech. I'm not going to pile on Senator Chambers. I'm disappointed in myself. But I will say this. The next time one of my colleagues makes a comment about a retard, I'm going to take the same reprehensible tone towards him that I'll take towards Senator Chambers. Being civil is part of free speech, in my opinion. The civility that has been absent at times on this floor comes from emotion. It comes from passion. It comes from saying things that we think we need to say to make our point. Well, I no longer will feel guilty because I've never owned a slave. I will no longer feel guilty because of my religion, being a Roman Catholic, or being attacked by someone on this floor for some sins of the Catholic Church in the past. I register with this body this morning my discontent for myself in not taking some action or speaking up at many times in the 6+ years that I've been here. It stops here for me. Thank you, colleagues.
Thank you, Senator Christ. Senator Ken Har, you're recognized.
Mr. President, members of the body, thank you, Senator Bloomfield, for your comments. And you sort of got me to stand up and say something. Thank you very much. This is a difficult discussion this morning, but it's probably good we're having it. Of course, I support the police, and I know that the police are also human. During my campaigns, I've gotten a lot of support from the police unions, but they're not right all the time, and we all know that. What's going on in the Middle East is horrific. What's gone on in our past in this country in terms of slavery and other things has been horrific. But I guess the question that comes up is, do we stand up every time we hear something that's reprehensible in this body and take it to the newspapers and so on and so forth? I've heard the word leeches used, and I'm not going to name who said that, but that was named in a committee hearing, referring to people who get public subsidy. Maybe I should have stepped up at that time and said something as well. We saw on television ads a bobblehead of President Obama, the President of the United States, knocked off in a cavalier manner, and we didn't step up and say anything about that. I think we need to have civility in this body, and perhaps we should all call each other more often when things that are said that are not civil. But to pile on to one person and say that they're the person who's the devil in this case for having said something so reprehensible now that we all have to rally and so on and so forth. Again, we've all said things that we shouldn't have. It's Senator Chambers' right to say whatever he wants. There is freedom of speech in this body. I've appreciated his work in this legislature. So I'd ask us all to take a look at ourselves. And I think Senator Bloomfield said this, cast the stone if you've ever been in this position of saying something you shouldn't have, and being in a position where maybe somebody couldn't have judged what you said. So that's what I'd like to say, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Har. Senator Klowski, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good morning, colleagues. I stand before you this morning as the one person in the 49 of us that has had the most history of working with Senator Chambers than anyone else in this body. I worked with him for the last 7 years, 4 years in the learning community in the Omaha area, and now the 3 years here at the legislature. I've learned a great deal from him and watched intently as he's worked in this body and in the learning community to make the gains we've made over time. I want to also echo Senator Har and thank Senator Bloomfield for his comment on the right of free speech and where we should be cognizant of the opportunities of doing that and saying what we believe and following through with that as we work in this body together. The history of Senator Chambers and myself goes back to 1970 when I invited him to a high school to talk to a senior civics group of students that filled an auditorium, and he was fantastic with those students on that particular day as a young senator in this body, and he continues to do that type of work all the way down to the present day. He's passionate about what he believes in, very emotional about where he comes from, and I know I don't walk in his skin or in his shoes. And in this body, I don't know if we have 5 people that have seen the movie from the time of the late 60s in Omaha, A Time for Burning, that imprinted his life and imprinted the lives of many of us in the Omaha area for what we had to face up to and the issues of North Omaha, race relations, and many other things that we have before us. There are many things in this body that are said that are very disturbing to me. Equally as disturbing as what we're talking about, the words that Senator Chambers spoke, and are hearing that's disturbing to many of you. I wish we felt the same way about hungry children the need for education, the need for medical care, the need for mental care, the need for many other things that we ignore or pass over in our deliberations. So I'm not here to judge Senator Chambers. I served in the military as a proud member of the United States Marine Corps. I had a brother who died in the line of service of a heart attack in his 20th year as a state trooper in Illinois.